Don't make someone a priority in your life when they don't do the same for you. Nothing is permanent. Don't stress yourself too much because no matter how bad the situation is, it will change. Your value is not determined by someone else's inability to see your worth. Your enemies will often tell you the truth because it hurts, and your friends will often lie because it doesn't. Live life the way you want to because even people who care for you can't be with you every step of the way. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. Beneath the pain is a lesson. Beneath the sorrow is hope. Beneath the struggle is courage. When it seems all is lost, you find what you really need. Most people are only nice when things don't matter. Not everyone is meant to be in your future, some people are just passing through to teach you lessons in life. You must be big enough to admit your mistakes, smart enough to learn from them, and strong enough to correct them. Letting go is very hard, but it's the best thing to do. Contentment is not the fulfillment of what you want, but the realization of how much you already have. Life is about balance. Be kind, but don't let people abuse you. Trust, but don't be deceived. Be content, but never stop improving yourself. You may be the only person left who believes in you, but it's enough. Life gets so much better when you stop taking things personally. No matter how nice or respectful you are, some people will still talk bad about you behind your back. Whatever is causing you worry or pain right now won't last forever. Things change with time, and it will pass. Never take someone's feelings for granted. You never know how much courage it took to share them. If you aren't confident, fake it, it will come. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Expectation always hurts, so expect less or have no expectations from others. The people who say you can't and you won't are usually the ones scared that you will. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. If you expect the world to be fair with you because you are fair, you're fooling yourself. That's like expecting the lion not to eat you because you didn't eat him. Worrying only means you suffer twice. Don't be afraid of a shadow, it just means there's a light nearby. Just because you hate this chapter doesn't mean you'll hate the book. If it can be fixed, why are you complaining? If it can't be fixed, why are you worried? Complaining, the trouble is you think you have time. Life can only be understood backward, but it must be lived forwards. You don't notice your progress in life because you are always raising the bar. Let go or be dragged. You'll ruin your life trying to make everyone happy. If you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. People don't get what they deserve. You aren't always responsible for the first thought you have, but you are responsible for the second one. Never be so kind you forget to be clever, and never be so clever you forget to be kind. Your mind gives up a lot faster than your body. A calm sea will not make you a skilled sailor. Waiting for change while not doing anything for it is like waiting for the train at a bus stop. If you find yourself repeatedly questioning whether or not something is right for you, the answer is usually no. At some point, you will realize no one else has a say in your life unless you let them. When you work for someone else, you have the right only to labor, not to the fruits of your labor. We have 2 lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have one. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Nothing in life that is worth having comes easy. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. It's possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness, that is life. You're going to make a lot of people mad doing what's right for you. You can't cross the ocean until you lose sight of the shore. It's easy to fool someone, it's hard to convince them that they've been fooled. Any thought you have about the future is a delusion. Resentment is like taking poison and waiting for the other person to die. There are a lot of things worth caring about. You can either be a negative or positive person in life, but only one will get you somewhere. Before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Be afraid, but do it anyway. It takes a long time to realize how truly miserable you are, and even longer to realize it doesn't have to be that way. You will never remember the days and nights you stay home and do nothing. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it is a quiet voice at the end of the day saying, "I will try again tomorrow." That mountain you've been carrying, you were only supposed to climb. People often confuse stress with responsibility. Don't cling to a mistake just because you spent a lot of time making it. Someone once told me the meaning of hell: on your last day on earth, the person you became will meet the person you could have become. It is not a lack of time, it is a lack of priority. What would you do if you weren't afraid? There are 2 paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. The reason you want to be better than someone else is the reason why you aren't. Embrace stress as the opposite of apathy. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around, you could miss it. Everything outside of this moment is just imagination. If you stopped seeing the world in terms of what you like and dislike, and saw things for what they truly are, you would find a great deal more peace in your life. We are all the bad guy in someone's story. The only person who's ever going to remember your hard work is you, not this company, not your boss. Only you. It's not worth killing yourself over a company that'll replace you in 2 days if you're gone. The people who mind don't matter, and the people who matter don't mind. Keep breaking your heart until it opens. Remember when you wanted what you currently have. Be the person you needed when you were younger. When you do things right, people won't be sure you've done anything at all. If you are unhappy, you are doing something wrong. Be not afraid of moving slowly, be only afraid of standing still. Sometimes a hypocrite is nothing more than a man in the process of changing. The only time you should look into someone else's bowl is to make sure they have enough. Given the choice between being right and being kind, choose kind. Someone's opinion of you doesn't have to become your reality. The things you own end up owning you. Speak your mind even if your voice shakes. Experience, don't expect. Experience life, do not carry expectations on how it should be. One day or day one, you decide. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Youth is happy because it has the capacity to see beauty. Anyone who keeps the ability to see beauty never grows old. The past is just a story we tell ourselves. Every person alive hits a crossroads in life when you have to let go of the past and forge ahead into something new. The only sad thing would be clinging to the past once it's out of reach. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Honesty without kindness is brutality, kindness without honesty is manipulation. They've promised that dreams can come true but forgot to mention that nightmares are dreams too. There are 2 ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle, the other is as though everything is a miracle. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. You train people how to treat you, unconsciously or not. I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. To realize that you are not your thoughts is when you begin to awaken spiritually. The world is a tragedy to those who feel, but a comedy to those who think. You are either part of the problem or part of the solution. Never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. Fairy tales are more than true, not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten. Never go to the past, not for happiness, not for justification, not for excuses. The world is what it is, you are what you are. Things are only impossible until they are not. Just because you got away with a bad decision doesn't make it a good decision. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who was actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. It's not your fault things are the way they are. There are more things likely to frighten us than to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. Fake love is mighty convincing in a world where real love is mighty rare. Whoever fights can lose, whoever doesn't fight has already lost. We live longer when we are too busy living. The point of the argument is not to defeat each other but to understand each other. Life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react to it. Pain is weakness leaving your body. Choose your pain, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Work like there is someone working 24 hours a day to take it away from you. The past is in your head, the future is in your hands. A sword can only be formed once it goes into the fire. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Your hardest times often lead to the greatest moments of your life. The trouble is you think you have time. You've survived 100% of your bad days. A man must suffer if he is to remake himself, for he is both the marble and the sculptor. Never forget why you started. If you can't beat fear, just do it scared. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. When you find yourself in a difficult situation and everything is going against you, never give up because this is the place and time when everything will change. It could always be worse. The moment when you feel like giving up is the moment you need to push harder. Stop complaining about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't put in. One day you'll thank yourself for never giving up. What if I told you that years from now your life would be exactly the same? I doubt you'd be happy. Once we accept our limits, we go beyond them. A failure is not always a mistake. It may simply be the best one can do under the circumstances. The real mistake is to stop trying. When a defining moment comes along, you can do one of two things: define the moment or let the moment define you. Never give up on a dream just because of the time it will take to accomplish it. The time will pass anyway. It's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everybody would be doing it. The hard is what makes it great. If you believe it will work out, you'll see opportunities. If you believe it won't, you will see obstacles. The happiest people don't have the best of everything, they just make the best of everything they have. You'll die once in your life. Make sure it's worth it. You can't really control someone's loyalty towards you. You can do so much for someone and still not be treated well. If you have to keep asking yourself if something is worth it, then maybe it's not. Don't take criticism from anyone you would not take advice from. Leave when a promise turns into a sorry. Be alone sometimes, it is important for your mind and well-being. Education in knowing things means nothing if you're not willing to put in effort and use what you know. Believe half of what you see and don't believe anything you hear. Strive to be the man you want your daughter to marry. If you blame it on someone else, don't expect it to get better. When you drink, you're borrowing happiness from tomorrow. Don't make decisions when you're angry. Don't make promises when you're happy. We are the average of the people we spend time with. Surround yourself with good people to be a good person. If your problem can be solved with money, it's not a real problem. Letting go is very hard, but it's the best thing to do. You don't really know the person you're with until you move in together. Never marry anyone without living with them. First, learn to be content and happy by yourself. If you need company to be happy, it will make you weak. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. Trust is built over the life of a relationship but can be lost in an instant if you're not careful. No job is beneath one's dignity. If you say you'll do something, do it. Your word is one of the most valuable things you can cultivate, and if your word ever loses that value, it will be hard to get it back. The world owes you nothing, it's too big and has too much going on to care about you. Don't let emotions affect your life, whether those emotions are your own or someone else's. If you like what you do, it will never feel like work. Being kind to yourself is the best medicine. Don't change yourself just to make someone happy unless that someone is you. Some will call you stubborn, others will call you strong. But regardless of what they say, if you know deep down that what you're doing is right and just, their opinions shouldn't matter. You can make all the mistakes you want, just don't make the same one twice. Potential means you haven't done anything yet. People have to do a lot of stupid things to figure out what they really want. Don't try to fit in where you're not wanted. Friends can still screw you over without doing so intentionally. Sometimes when something tragic or heartbreaking happens, you never truly get over it or move on, you just learn to live with it. Your progress does not need to be seen or validated by others to be real. There's no quick and easy way to achieve or attain something valuable and hard-earned. Anyone who tells you otherwise is trying to sell you something. The only thing constant in this world is change. Letting go is much easier than you think, holding on is much tougher than you think. Making others look bad doesn't make you look better. Do what is right, not what is easy. No excuses, because excuses don't solve your problems. Real growth is when you start checking and correcting yourself instead of blaming others. You take your power back by being responsible for your life. Do not chase people who are walking out of your life. You can't control what thoughts enter your mind, but you can control what thoughts you entertain. Don't give energy to thoughts that don't make you feel good. Kindness will not win you respect except your own, but that's the one that counts. You can't change others. If you love something, let it go free. If it comes back, then it's yours and meant to be, if not, then move on. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. One of your worst enemies will be your own mind. Ego will tell you that you're never wrong, that you are invincible, and that you have no weaknesses. Regularly tell your ego to shut up. You never realize when the most cherished moments of your life are happening. Try to enjoy every day. Your life won't go as planned, and trust me, it's a good thing. Prepare for each moment to be a learning moment. When nothing can go wrong, it will. You will be pulled down out of jealousy. Don't get surprised, it's normal. A bad phase of your life can start at any time. Most of the time, you have to swallow the pain and learn to grow up by yourself. Don't make one person the center of all your happiness. Don't make them the reason why you are happy, because once that person walks away from your life, you're left with nothing. Trust wisely, not blindly. Never expect someone to catch you when you fall, even if you have caught many from falling. It's easier to get into a thing than out of it. Mostly, people will treat you according to their needs and greed. If someone says something and then says, "I am joking," he or she is always serious about what was said. People only want to hear the good, not the bad, so if you have issues, it'll be hard to find people to confide in. Once you hurt someone, they're not likely to forget. They will always remember how much you've hurt them. One negligible action can have devastating consequences. People want you to succeed, but not more than themselves. No is one of the most powerful words in existence. Don't be a people pleaser. You'll be alone in the most difficult times of your life. These times will make you wise, mature, and fearless. When you're working for someone else's dream, you sacrifice your own. No matter what good you do to people, they will only remember your mistakes. To reach somewhere, you need to leave something behind. It's best to leave things at the right time, otherwise, you are left with too many regrets and complaints. You may not realize this, but the people you love are your biggest weaknesses. What other people think of you is none of your business. Bad times are actually a boon because they wake you up to the good things you never paid attention to. If you are impatient, life will always be harder. Patience can do wonders. Trust is easy to build but can be shattered in seconds. Worry doesn't take away tomorrow's troubles, it takes away today's peace. Don't be afraid to make a hard decision. Choices, the hard choices are the best you end up making. The more you spend clinging to the past, the less likely your future will be any brighter. Action is 10 times more valuable than reading and planning. Experience is the best teacher. Respect yourself because people can see if you don't. Anyone you love can die anytime, cherish them. Nothing is ever as easy as it seems. Good things do come to those who wait and suffer. It might take time and be a long and rough road, but it's completely and totally worth it. Whether it's a machine, a house, or a relationship, maintenance is always cheaper than repairing. We cry over people, but what about time? Time is never going to come back. Time is everything, and one day it will define you. Things that will count are your health and your achievements. You make the best decisions when in pain because fear of experiencing the same pain again is the strongest motivator. The harder your past was, the more beautiful your future will be. Most of the stuff you worry about never happens. You attract what you are. If you want to attract better, become better. Just because you miss someone doesn't mean you need them back in your life. Missing is a part of getting over. Before you are old, attend as many funerals as you can bear and listen. Nobody talks about the departed's achievements. The only thing people will remember is what kind of person you were while you were achieving. Have at least one person in your life who gives you honest opinions. It is good to be generous, benign, and magnanimous, but there's a limit, or you'll be taken for granted. Holding on to things will always make you more stressed. Things won't happen in a certain way just because you want them to happen that way. Learn from what people do, not from what they tell you. Don't react in anger immediately, wait for it to subside. What's said or done in anger is irreversible. Don't overshare, privacy is power. Don't regret the past because at that moment you did your best. See people for who they are, not who you need them to be. Never jump to conclusions. Be discerning and let people show you their true colors. Never overlook contempt. When someone views you with contempt and talks to you like you're beneath them, they will likely do you harm, whether relationally, socially, or physically. Remove that person from your life. Never lend money because you might lend it to friends for a few days but retrieve it from fools for a lifetime. Never share your problems with friends before finding a solution, no matter how challenging it is. Don't show your weaknesses, people will enjoy the show. Don't be weak in front of them. Listen to the people who tell you what you don't want to hear. Self-pity is dangerous, stay away from it. Just because you are going through hell right now doesn't mean you will never smile again. Pain is purely temporary. You spend all your health initially for wealth, and then you spend all your wealth for one day of good health. Holding grudges will never harm people you hate, only you. Time defines you. You will not be defined well by anything other than time. Time is the most powerful force. No matter how hard you fight it, it will do what it wants.